Hey everyone, this is me and I'm just talking about a film we watched last night called Death Race.
Good morning, ma'am. Prisoner 77119.
Who's the new guy?
Jensen Ames used to race for NASCAR. They say he killed his wife.
Looking over your record, it seems you have some talent behind the wheel. You're familiar with the Death Race. I created Death Race 6 years ago. I now have as many viewers as the Super Bowl.
Time to meet the monster.
Mustang V8 Fastback. 3/4 inch steel plate for defense. 30mm machine guns for offense. It's killed. I got you now. Or be killed.
I didn't have high expectations because it was written and directed by Paul W. Anderson, who he doesn't have the best track record with AVP, the Resident Evils, and things like that. So my expectations were low, and I was expecting basically the average PG-13 or 15 rated, depending where you're from, of pointless explosions with minimal to no blood, and I was genuinely surprised at how much I really enjoyed this film. The acting is very good for this type of thing. Like, you wouldn't expect, you kind of expect phoned in hammy acting of just big burly men being angry, but no, Statham isn't alone in giving a very multi-layered performance, and there weren't any I could really think of who really stood out as particularly bad. And the plot is basically Jason Statham is a mill worker working during recession, where he gets ripped off for how many hours he works. He works 120 hours in the month and he only gets 300 quid, which you don't know how much he gets paid now, but that's bullshit either way. And he comes home and he goes upstairs to speak to his child, and that bit's a very obvious setup, but still, spoiler alert. Well, when he's gone upstairs, he comes down and his wife's been taken care of, and Jason Statham is then knocked out, and when he comes to, he's got the police surrounding him, and he's holding a knife that has stabbed his wife, and he's put down for murder and raping his daughter. And then he's offered a deal by the warden in a similar situation to The Longest Yard of Adam Sandler, where he can replace this legendary racing driver Frank for the Death Race competitions, which is like one of the highest grossing TV programs in the wasteland, the post-apocalyptic wasteland. And he only has to win the one race, and then he's told he'll be set free and cleared of all the charges. So naturally he signs up, and then he meets his partner for the races, which is the obligatory female, which is, they arrive on a whole bus and each obligatory female gets with their drivers, but this one has been hired to sabotage and make sure Statham doesn't win. And each race, because the film is only about the one race, but it's split up into 3 mini races of the fastest, just laps, and then the next one you get Super Mario Kart style power-ups on the grids on the floor that you can drive over and get like shields and weapons and things like that, which makes it a very enjoyable, quite a game-like section really. It does feel like watching a very high definition version of the Super Marios or the Crash Team Racing and things like that, but with a lot of gore, This was incredibly gory for this type of film, and it has a few dull scenes. The ending is a bit cheesy, and there's a horrible fourth wall joke of someone right near the end turning to the camera and speaking directly to the audience, which it really sucked it out before it had quite finished. But other than, it has very few minor flaws, but this was definitely an excellent purchase for £6, and I highly recommend it for anyone who's a big Jason Statham fan, or even just curious about it. And the only other major complaint I can think of isn't the fault of this, it's the fault of the sequel, Death Race 2, because Paul W. Anderson went on record to say that this Death Race with Jason Statham, it wasn't a remake. He saw it as a prequel to Death Race 2000 of Sylvester Stallone. And Death Race 2 is a prequel to the Jason Statham one. So that'll become a prequel to a prequel. And that's just ridiculous in my opinion. Like I say, that's not the fault of Death Race. That's the fault of whoever makes Death Race 2. Well, made Death Race 2. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Check it out.